Did you ever think that a minute in the bathroom could change your life? It's not because you slipped or forgot to turn off the faucet. It's because what you do or don't do in that seemingly safest room can trigger a stroke within 10 minutes. Every 40 seconds, someone in the US has a stroke. Every 3.5 minutes, someone dies. And for people over 60, the most dangerous place isn't the kitchen, the stairs, or the living room, it's single quotes s the toilet. Do you feel dizzy when you stand up after peeing? Have you ever sat on the toilet for too long just to check your text messages? Or simply did you brush your teeth at night? These seemingly trivial things, according to research, can increase your risk of stroke by up to 300%. Today's video won't just make you look at your bathroom in a whole new light, but it will also help you know the 7 habits that silently destroy your brain every day, understand why strokes strike unexpectedly in the early morning, and most importantly, know how to redesign your space and hygiene habits to protect yourself and your loved ones. If you're over 60 or have parents who are, don't miss it. This is a video you'll want to save, share, and watch over and over again, because after all, there's nothing more precious than waking up healthy, with memories to smile about. Ready? Let's start with the first habit, and why peeing right after waking up is more dangerous than you think. When we're young, we're often afraid of the big things, car accidents, serious illnesses, or falls from high places. But when you hit 60, the danger is where you least expect it, right behind the bathroom door. I still remember Mary, an old lady who lived near my house in Vermont. Every morning, she woke up at 6 a.m., poured herself a cup of tea, and went to the bathroom as part of a routine that had been almost unchanged for more than 20 years. Until one morning in February, just a few minutes after she stepped into the bathroom, she was found unconscious on the floor, stroke. And it all happened in just 7 minutes. Many people were surprised. Mary was still walking regularly, eating well, and not smoking. So what was the reason? It was a series of harmless bathroom habits. Not drinking water before peeing, straining when constipated, sitting too long on the toilet because she was busy checking Facebook. And, like many others, she had no idea that the bathroom was the place that produced the most dramatic sudden changes in blood pressure during the day. The bathroom, though clean and peaceful, is where blood pressure can spike up to 90 mmHg in seconds. Just one wrong push, one time standing up too quickly while still dehydrated, or simply a breath held while wiping yourself down, is enough to cause a weak blood vessel in the brain to burst like a rubber band that has been stretched too far. At 60 plus, the arteries are no longer as soft as they used to be. The heart reacts more slowly, the brain needs blood more evenly, and any little shock in the toilet can be the last straw for a stroke. We spend our lives believing that home is the safest place, but the truth is, safety only comes when we are aware of the silent risks, not to be afraid, but to be better prepared. Instead of living in fear, we can live proactively and healthily every day. And to do that, we need to start with the first thing in the morning. It's a small thing, but if done wrong, it can be the start of a dangerous day. Did you drink water before you pee this morning? Join me in the next part and discover why peeing first thing in the morning is a mistake that most people make. Every morning, as the sun peeks through the curtains, 72-year-old Howard starts his day like everyone else. He sits up, stretches, and then quickly heads to the bathroom. It's been the first thing he's done every morning for years. But one day in October, things didn't go as planned. When he got up from the toilet, a few seconds later, he was dizzy. Then he collapsed. The fall didn't cause major injuries, but behind it was a more serious warning: a mini ischemic stroke TIA. You see, after 6 to 8 hours of sleep, our bodies are always in a state of severe dehydration. It's not just thirst, the blood has thickened, the heart is working harder to pump less blood, and the brain starts to demand oxygen. When we sit down to pee, especially if we strain or stand up too quickly afterwards, the body can suddenly drop blood pressure, causing dizziness, loss of balance, or worse, stopping the blood supply to the brain for a few seconds. For young people, this usually just causes dizziness. But for people over 60, it can be the spark that ignites a stroke. Science is very clear. Early morning is the time of day when strokes are most likely to occur. A study in The Lancet found that the risk of stroke is 80% higher in the early morning than at other times. Dehydration equals thick blood, greater pressure on the heart, poorer blood flow to the brain. Combined with a change in position from lying down gives sitting on the toilet makes it difficult to stabilize blood pressure. So what should we do? Just one small action. Drink water before getting out of bed. 300 to 500 milliliters of filtered water. No need for much, no need to rush. Leave a glass of water at the bedside as part of your early morning ritual. This will help the blood become thinner, the heart work less, and the brain is not starved for oxygen at the beginning of the day. According to the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, just drinking water before getting up can reduce the risk of early morning hypotension by 61%. We always say that love is an action, not just words. So, if you live with an elderly relative, leave a bottle of water by their bed every night. It's not just a small action. It's a way to keep them with you longer, another day, another morning. And if the morning starts with preparation, the next step is to do it right in the bathroom. It seems simple, but if done wrong, it can cause your body's pressure to spike to dangerous levels without you even knowing it. Let's move on to the next part, where we will talk about urination habits and why so many people think they're done peeing ... but actually aren't. Back then, Mr. Frank, a retired engineer, had a habit that he always thought was a small thing. Every morning, he went to the toilet, washed his hands, and left the bathroom without worrying about anything else. When you pee, it's done, right? He used to say with a laugh. Until one morning, he started to feel a hanging in his low abdomen, peeing quickly, but never felt really comfortable. And then, less than a minute after leaving the toilet, he felt his heart pounding, his face burning, and he lost his balance completely. The doctor's diagnosis: his blood pressure skyrocketed right after urinating almost without warning. The underlying cause, not his age, but he had never urinated completely. Why is incomplete urination so dangerous? In older people, especially men over 65, the detrusor muscle begins to weaken. Controlling the flow of urine is no longer as smooth as it was in his 30s. And if the prostate is slightly enlarged, it is very common to leave a few dozen milliliters of urine behind after each urination. But that remnant is not simply an unpleasant thing. It maintains a constant state of mild tension in the body, called sympathetic activation. The body thinks it's not done yet, so it keeps the blood vessels constricted, the heart beats faster, and blood pressure doesn't decrease. The result: internal pressure increases secretly, gradually affecting the heart, kidneys, and brain. A study from the European Neurology Review shows that more than 50% of men over 65 have post-void residual without knowing it. This is a factor that increases the risk of infection, kidney failure, and stroke due to prolonged increased internal pressure. So how do you know if you've urinated all the way? You don't need any machines. Just remember this simple rule. After urinating, sit still for 10 seconds. Then gently try again, no need to strain. This is called the double voiding technique and has been proven by the National Institute on Aging to reduce bladder pressure by up to 60%. If you are a man, and especially if you have a history of prostate enlargement, talk to your doctor about alpha blockers. They help to smooth the flow of urine and reduce residual urine. And if you are a woman, don't think you are immune. After menopause, the loss of pelvic floor muscle tone can also make urination less complete. In this case, pelvic floor physiotherapy can be a great gift you give yourself. It's not always about finishing quickly. As in life, slowing down, paying attention, is sometimes the best way to avoid regrets later. And now that we understand that urination also needs to be listened to, it's time to look at another seemingly harmless habit, but it can secretly sabotage cardiovascular and cerebrovascular health with every breath, every night. That's the matter of brushing your teeth. In the next part, you will learn why skipping brushing your teeth at night can nearly double the risk of stroke in the elderly. Mrs. Ruth, a 67-year-old former primary school teacher, once said, "I have never skipped brushing my teeth in the morning in my life, but at night ... I am tired." And I thought, just one night of sleep should be fine. She was right about the tiredness, but wrong about the consequences. One normal morning, Mrs. Ruth woke up with a slight headache, feeling dizzy when she got out of bed. At first, she thought it was because she slept in the wrong position. But then, When her morning teacup fell from her hand without her noticing, her daughter knew right away. It was not tiredness, but a small stroke. And the cause, surprisingly, came from a seemingly unrelated habit, skipping brushing your teeth at night. Why does not brushing your teeth at night affect the blood vessels in the brain? When we sleep, saliva, which helps neutralize bacteria, decreases dramatically. That's when bacteria in the mouth party. They multiply, creating thick plaque around the gums and teeth. And if we don't clean before going to bed, this bacteria will build up. Enters the bloodstream through small inflammations in the gums, especially if you have gingivitis or receding gums. Once in the bloodstream, the bacteria cause inflammation inside the blood vessel walls, a process called endothelial dysfunction. Blood vessels in the brain, already fragile in older adults, are more likely to thicken, harden, and lose elasticity. This makes it easier for blood clots to form, and stroke becomes a near-term outcome. A study from the University of South Carolina found that older adults who brush their teeth only once a day have a 70% higher risk of stroke than those who brush twice. And according to the journal Stroke American Heart Association, periodontal disease doubles the risk of stroke due to embolism. It's not just about brushing, it's how you brush and what you brush with. Use a soft bristled toothbrush. Brushing too hard can damage the gums and opening for bacteria to enter the bloodstream. Use toothpaste with stannous fluoride. This helps reduce gingivitis, lowering the inflammatory index, CRP, a factor closely related to stroke. Don't forget your tongue. Bacterial plaque on your tongue can cause bad breath, but more importantly, it is home to millions of blood sugar bacteria and floss every night. Skipping it is like mopping the floor without sweeping it. The surface is clean, but the dirt is still there, silently fermenting. Brushing your teeth at night not only protects your smile, but also your memory, your sanity, and your future. And if someone in your family regularly skips this step, don't just remind them, do it together. Because sometimes the best care is when we do the little things together. What about the habit that most of us are doing? In the toilet, not forgetting to brush your teeth. Not missing a pee, but sit for a long time and hold your phone. In the next part, you will learn why just 10 minutes of newsfeed scrolling on the toilet is enough to reduce blood flow to the brain by 17%, and how to prevent it before it's too late. Mr. Walter, 69 years old, is a big fan of technology. He used to joke with his friends, "This iPhone is my companion, both when I watch the news, read the newspaper, and go to the toilet." Every morning, he brings his phone to the toilet. One hand holds the phone, the other balances on the chair. 10 minutes, then 15 minutes. And he often doesn't notice that his legs are numb, his head is a bit dizzy, and he has to hold on to the wall to stand up. Until one morning, he stands up too quickly and falls and hits his shoulder on the sink. No serious injuries, but a subsequent checkup revealed his brain was suffering from mild anemia every morning due to his habit of sitting on the toilet for too long. What actually happens when you sit on the toilet with your phone? First, sitting for a long time with your knees bent slows the flow of blood from your legs to your heart. The amount of blood pumped to the brain decreases, especially in people over 60, when the arteries are less elastic. Next, when you stare at the screen, your head is lowered, your cervical spine is flexed. This compresses the blood vessels leading to the back of the brain, especially the vertebrobasilar artery, which supplies blood to the cerebellum and brainstem, the areas that control balance and breathing. Not only that, blue light, a flood of information, and emotions triggered by content also stimulate the sympathetic nervous system. The heart beats faster, blood vessels constrict, blood pressure fluctuates. Suddenly all of these factors combine to create a physiological storm that few people think of, just because of a simple action: scrolling through the phone in the toilet. According to research in the journal Neuroepidemiology, people who sit for more than 15 minutes with their knees bent and their necks bent can experience a 17% reduction in blood flow to the brain. And according to Frontiers in Psychology, just 10 minutes of looking at a smartphone screen can temporarily increase heart rate and blood pressure in older adults. But I'm not pushing hard, I'm just sitting and relaxing. Yes, but the danger lies in that prolonged relaxation. Your body thinks you're resting, but in fact, it's being stretched silently. The solution is simple, but requires determination. Leave your phone outside the toilet door. You can put it in a small basket outside the bathroom. As a ritual of letting go, don't sit for more than 7 minutes. The toilet is not a place to read the news or watch videos. It is a place for the body to be purified and rested gently. If you feel numb in your legs, blurred vision, or lightheaded after standing up, don't take it lightly. It could be an early warning sign of cerebral ischemia. After using the toilet, stand up slowly and walk around the house for 2 to 3 minutes. Just this will help circulate and wake up the blood vessels in the brain. We think we are updating the world, but in fact, we are reducing the blood flow to our own brains. The less time you spend on your phone in the toilet, the more time you can spend with your loved ones in real life. And if you think scrolling through your phone is harmless, the next part will show you something even more dangerous, an unconscious action that almost everyone does when going to the toilet: holding your breath. Just a second of holding your breath while straining or standing up can cause your blood pressure to spike over 90 mmHg, enough to cause a brain aneurysm to burst in an instant. Come with me to the next part, the Valsalva trap, why holding your breath might be the worst thing you can do. Alan, a 74-year-old former carpenter, lived a disciplined life. He ate moderately, didn't smoke, and walked every morning. And at first glance, no one would have thought he had any risk factors for a stroke. But one morning in March, as he was getting up from the toilet, he struggled to stand up straight, held his breath for a few seconds, and then the room spun, he collapsed. The stroke came so quickly that his wife, who was in the next room, didn't have time to react. There was no fall, no strain, just a held breath. And that's what changed everything. So what actually happens when you hold your breath? This seemingly harmless action is actually a physiological reflex, scientifically known as the Valsalva maneuver. It happens when we race our stomachs to push when going to the toilet, hold our breath to stand up when staggering or off balance, coughing hard, or even wiping yourself too hard. When you hold your breath and tense up, you're creating a huge amount of pressure in your chest. This pressure reduces the amount of blood returning to your heart, temporarily reduces the amount of blood going to your brain. And then, when you exhale forcefully, your blood pressure shoots up like a spring being pulled back. This change can push your blood pressure up to more than 90 mmHg in just a few seconds, which is especially dangerous for people with weakened blood vessels. According to the journal Clinical Cardiology, the Valsalva maneuver can create a pressure shock inside the brain that's strong enough to rupture a small blood vessel, which has thinned with age. The scary thing is, many people don't know they're doing it. You may have held your breath this morning without realizing it, when you stretched to wipe your feet, when you got up from the toilet, or when you reached for a roll of toilet paper. In your 30s and 40s, your body can bear. But after 60, it's a game with a trigger. How to avoid this invisible trap? Practice breathing correctly. Before standing up or stretching, take a deep breath, then exhale slowly as you move. Don't tense, don't hold your breath, move slowly, rhythmically. From the toilet, stand up in 3 steps. Place your hands on your thighs, exhale, stand up slowly. Install a grab bar or handrail next to the toilet. Physical support helps you use less abdominal muscles and reduces the risk of straining your breathing. Watch for warning signs: ringing in your ears, black spots in your eyes, lightheadedness when you inhale deeply. Don't ignore them. We live millions of breathing moments without noticing, without controlling. But from there, one wrong breath can cost you precious years. Choose to breathe correctly, because it is the first and last gift that life gives us. And if the habit of holding your breath is so dangerous, what else are we doing every day that seems harmless, but is actually harming ourselves? The answer: you might be doing it every morning in the shower. In the next part, we will explore the shower shock, how long hot showers can create deadly blood pressure swings, and why a hot shower in the morning can overwhelm your blood vessels even before you have eaten breakfast. Elaine, 70 years old, living alone in the suburbs, always starts her day with a pleasant routine: a small chair in the bathroom, a small radio playing classical music, and a very hot shower. "That's the moment I feel alive," she said. But one winter morning, after 20 minutes of sitting in the warm water, Elaine stepped out of the shower and collapsed right in front of the door. Her neighbors discovered her in time, but this time she had no recollection of what had happened. A mini stroke, as quiet as the steam in the bathroom, What really happened in that shower? A long hot shower causes your blood vessels to expand. This is why standing under a warm shower feels good. But when your blood vessels expand suddenly, your blood pressure drops rapidly. If you're on blood pressure medication or are older, your body can't regulate your blood pressure as quickly. And then, when you step out of the shower, the cool air causes your blood vessels to suddenly constrict. The dilation, then contraction, is like stretching and then releasing a weak rubber band. That's when blood vessels in the brain, already fragile, can rupture or create conditions for blood clots to form. A study from the Journal of Applied Physiology found that older adults who soak in hot water for 15 minutes may experience a drop in blood pressure 20 mmHg, enough to cause dizziness or fainting. A study in Finland also found that people who regularly take hot showers in the morning without cooling down gradually have twice the risk of early stroke. What's more, hot showers can make you sweat without realizing it. In a steamy bathroom, it's hard to feel the dehydration. And as we learned in the previous section, dehydration thickens the blood, makes the heart beat faster, and makes blood vessels more tense. All of this adds up to a blood pressure shock right after you think you've just relaxed. How to stay warm without sacrificing safety. Limit your shower time. 10 to 12 minutes is enough. Think of it as a calm period. No need to extend it to a danger period. Finish with 30 seconds of cool water or warm water. This helps the blood vessels to contract slowly, avoiding thermal shock when exposed to air. Always have a small chair or handrail in the bathroom. If you feel dizzy, sit down immediately. It's not weakness, it's smart. Drink water before and after bathing, especially if you shower in the morning. A small glass of water can be a shield to protect your heart and brain. Not everything that makes us feel comfortable is safe. True warmth is when you know how to take care of yourself properly, not by indulging in habits, but by loving your own body with all understanding. And after stepping out of the bathroom, if you enter another battle ... fighting to go to the toilet while constipated, straining ... then you need to know that what seems simple is the reason why thousands of people over 60 years old face strokes every year. Let me explore that in the next part. The constipation crisis, why straining on the toilet is like playing Russian roulette with your brain. Mr. Raymond, a 75-year-old man living with his wife in Florida, used to have a habit that he never thought was dangerous. Every morning, sitting on the toilet for nearly 20 minutes, straining while reading the newspaper. He said, "I'm not constipated, I just need a little more time." But then, one seemingly normal morning, his wife heard a loud noise in the bathroom. When she ran in, Mr. Raymond was unconscious on the floor. That last strain that day wasn't to push waste out, but to push his blood pressure past the limit of his brain's blood vessels. Why is straining so dangerous? When you strain, especially when constipated, your body automatically triggers the Valsalva reflex. As discussed earlier, you hold your breath, tighten your abdomen. The pressure in your chest increases, reducing blood flow to your brain. And then your blood pressure rebounds, spiking like a flash in young people. This usually has no consequences. But in older people, those with weakened blood vessels, or those with atherosclerotic plaques, this spike in blood pressure can rupture a small capillary in the brain, leading to a hemorrhagic stroke. According to the American Heart Association's Stroke Journal, straining during bowel movements can increase the risk of intracranial stroke by up to 300%. This is especially true in people with a history of high blood pressure, diabetes, or high cholesterol. Another contributing factor, poor posture. Did you know that the modern toilet with a 90-degree angle is actually not the natural position for the body to excrete? In that position, the large intestine is slightly folded, forcing you to push harder to push the stool out. Meanwhile, if you raise your legs with a small chair, you simulate a squatting position, helping the intestines to be straighter, reducing pressure and not having to strain. How to improve and protect the health of the brain's blood vessels when going to the toilet. Drink enough water every day, at least 1.5 to 2 liters. Blood is thinner, stool is softer, straining is easier. Eat lots of natural fiber. Oatmeal, prunes, chia seeds, avocado, beans, green vegetables all help the intestines move smoothly. Maintain gentle exercise every day. Just 10 minutes of walking in the morning can improve bowel movements. Use a footstool in the toilet. Simple but extremely effective. Change the angle of sitting. change the level of straining. There is nothing shameful about talking about constipation.